Farah Hanoun for MMA Junkie, and I'm joined by UFC heavyweight Curtis Blaydes, who takes on Alexander Volkov on June 20. Curtis, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. June 20 has been the day the whole way along. You were supposed to headline UFC Saskatoon, but now it's the Apex Center in Las Vegas. Was there at any point a chance or an opportunity for you to fight somebody else, or was it always Alexander Volkov?
No, it was Alexander a bust, pretty much. I wasn't offering anybody else, and I don't think there's anyone else that would be worth it right now to fight. So,
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because when I look at the rankings and stuff, that fight, you know what? Like in many other cases, maybe if that trilogy didn't take so long to get booked, that you could have been next in line for a title shot because maybe Ngannou would have gotten a shot and then it would have come to your time. But Stipe did tweet that he's ready to go. Did you catch that? And are you happy to finally see that? I think Cormier actually put a contract that he signed on his phone or something. So it seems like they're proceeding with it.
I believe that the fight is going to happen. I am happy that it's finally going to happen. I just wish it hadn't taken so long, but it's going to happen. So I'll be happier when I know a date, though. Like August, September, I'll be happier then.
Good point. And the fights on the 20th are going to be the Apex Center, the smaller cage. A lot of people have that notion that the small cage favors a grappler. Do you agree? What are your thoughts on fighting on at the 25-foot cage?
I agree. I think it's a grappler's wet dream. Excuse my language, but yeah, I think because it's smaller guys that need more guys who like to use their movement, their footwork to create space and stuff. There's not as much space. There's not a whole lot of time to really get used to the new smaller cage. So I think it definitely favors guys like me, guys who want to engage early and get into the grappling.
Cool. And what do you think of the Volkov matchup? Like, how would you break it down stylistically, and where do you feel like your strengths lie? I'd assume the grappling.
I think it's your classic grappler versus striker. Although I can strike also, I definitely prefer to grapple. I know he's got long legs. I think our reach is equal. We're both 80 inches long, so I don't think that'll be a factor. But I know he likes to be long. He likes to establish a distance with his teeps and his other kicks and whatnot. So I know he doesn't want to be in the clinching zone. I know he doesn't want to be in that grappling type of zone, and that's where I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna pressure him. I'm gonna put his back heel against the cage and make him react to my pumps and high lows and just go from there.
What's the plan here for you? Like, should you get a win over Volkov, do you kind of wait for your turn? I know, like, I don't see many other guys that you could fight. You've done what you've had to do in terms of the work you've had to do in the division and to earn that title shot. I know Ngannou's waiting, so that's going to put a little bit of a hold. But should you get a win against Volkov, do you just wait until it's your turn?
Yeah, that's what I've discussed with my coaches and my management. There isn't anyone else like worth it. So, and I'll have enough money to sit. If I have to sit 8 months, I have enough. So I'll be okay.
And in terms of preparation, Elevation Fight Team has kind of been open. I don't want to say the whole time, but you've had a lot of guys, your teammates and stuff like that have had fights. That must have made it easier in terms of preparation, right?
Yeah, we never stopped. Like I know we're supposed to. I guess that's what Stipe did. He honored the lockdown. We didn't. I'm not ashamed to say we didn't because this is my job. This is how I eat. This is how I provide for my family. So I had to continue to work out, and I never stopped. We made it. We made it work. I was going out to my coach's house. He has like a little home gym. We were doing that for a while until they kind of eased the lockdown, and then we started going back into the gyms, and that's made it easier having access to the main gym. But we made it happen regardless.
Who are some of the guys that you've been able to train with in preparation? Because you've known that it's Volkov for a while, right? I guess
Yeah,
was it before the pandemic even hit? Yeah.
yeah. I knew. 'Cause I went to Vegas to watch UFC 248 or 49, whichever one. 48. I went
Or
out
yeah.
to Vegas to watch that one, and that's when I talked to Mick Maynard. We didn't. I didn't sign the contract that night, but I knew from that day on. So as soon as I got back home, I've been in camp mode since end of March, and I've been working. Before Alistair left, I was working with Alistair, and he's probably the only name that you guys would know. But I've had local guys that are also a part of Elevation. We've been working out the whole time. So.
Cool. And how do you see the trilogy fight between DC and Miocic playing out?
Honestly, we don't know. I don't know because like we've seen it go one way for DC, another way for Stipe, and when it did go to Stipe, DC looked like he was handling that fight, like he was on his way to a TKO. So I think they're just so evenly matched, and after fighting each other twice, they're really gonna. They already have a feel for each other. They know what range they can strike at. They know the strength of the other guys. So I one thing I do expect, I expect more aggressiveness. I expect both guys to just engage. I don't really expect there to be like a feeling out process. They've already had that. So
Do you have a preference who wins the fight, and do you envision when you fight for the title, who's on the other side of the octagon? Like, who do you envision being there?
um honestly, I don't have a preference because I know they're both older and they both only have maybe one or two more fights in them, so it really doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of my game plan. The way I fight is universal. It works for Stipe. It works for DC. I know DC is also a very accomplished wrestler, Olympics and all that, but I'm bigger, I'm faster, I'm more explosive at this stage in my career than he is. I'm longer. I have all the dimensional advantages. So my game plan works for both of them. Um, I would prefer though, honestly, Stipe, because I think a lot of people would agree he's going to go down as probably the number one or number two heavyweight of all time when he retires.
And if DC beats him, and DC kind of alluded to that potentially being his last fight, that could potentially delay things even more, right?
I don't know how that works. I try not to think about it. It's a little depressing when you think about all the ways it can go wrong and how it could further prolong my climb up. But yeah, that could be another obstacle. But if it is, I'll wait it out. I'm only 29. I've got at least 8 more years in this game, so I'm here. I'll be here.
Would have you preferred it? Because there was some, I don't know if there was some talk, but when Ngannou fought Jairzinho, they both wanted it to be for the interim title. They felt like that should have been done with the delay of the trilogy. Would have you preferred to see that happen? Do you think it could have maybe put a little bit more pressure for the fight to happen faster, or anything like that? Or do you think it would have just complicated things in the division?
Yeah, I think it just would have added more complications because DC and Stipe are both. They seem pretty prideful. They're not going to acknowledge an interim title holder. They're going to treat them the same way they treat me and the rest of the division. You guys can wait. You're on our time. We're not on your time. So, regardless if there was an interim title or not, we'd be here in this same position.
Do you prefer that your fight with Volkov is a 5 round main event?
I definitely do prefer 5 rounders over 3 rounders because the way my game plan works, it's like attrition. So first round, not a lot of damage, but a lot of pressure. Second round, a little more damage, a lot of pressure. Third round, the same amount of pressure, more damage, and just it just keeps going on because guys get gassed out from having to constantly grapple and wrestle. Even if I don't get the takedown, I know it tires you out. Just like in my last fight against Junior, I went 0 for 8 on my takedown attempts, but the constant pressure and him just he knew in his head I'm still gonna shoot. I'm gonna keep on going until I get it. And that type of pressure it makes them antsy. It makes them they start reacting to like all your pumps and all your every type of head movement. It makes them real. It makes it easier to predict where they're going to move. Like when I'm pressuring guys like that.
And was it extra special that way? I mean, he is a former UFC champion and a big name, but that notion that, you're not just a wrestler, was it good to show that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I ever have to prove anything to fans. Like honestly, like I don't care if they don't like my style of wrestling, but I felt good just to validate my coach. Like I know he's worked really hard with me. I know he's always wanted to see the hard work we've been doing together in the octagon, and we never had an opportunity because my wrestling always worked. That's always gonna be Plan A. Junior, he made me go to Plan B, and now the world knows I have a Plan B.
Cool. And I'm going to give you the one last question. I appreciate your time. Do you envision a way the fight with Volkov ends? Do you have a prediction?
Uh, I doubt it goes to 4-5. I honestly doubt it. Yeah. So there's going to be a finish in there somewhere. It just depends on how long it takes me to break him.